How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Eric Carlson here, running for Congress in the 1st Congressional District in Illinois. I wanted to do a candidate comparison here for you, just to give you a little breakdown. I know you're going to hear a lot more on stuff. A lot of people don't have time to do as much research as they would like, but today I'm going to compare myself with Jonathan Jackson. So we have just a couple things here to get you guys started. Is political experience. Neither one of us has ever held elective office before, which is probably a good thing, given the current situation, given the approval rating of Congress and politicians in general. So that's one thing that we're equal on. The uh, the only thing I would say about this is that Jonathan's brother, who had his issues when he was in Congress, forced to resign, and then went to prison over that. And his father ran for president twice, so he does have family experience. He has been around this stuff before, and in relation to Bobby Rush, the current outgoing congressman in this district, Jonathan has described him as Uncle Bobby and said he has known him all his life and that he thinks that he has done a great job. Where actually the record of voting for the 30 years that he's been there, the average congressperson misses about 2.1% of votes. So whether they're sick or out or just don't vote on an issue for whatever reason, the average, the median for Congress is 2.1% of the votes missed. Bobby Rush, I think it was over 15%. I believe it was like 15.4% or maybe 15.2% of votes that he missed over a 30-year career. He is one of the worst performing congressmen in the U.S. House that is currently there or held any of those offices over the last 30 years. And for some reason, Jonathan thinks that he did a great job, that Bobby Rush did a great job, and that he was so effective and everything. So you're probably going to get more of the same. Jonathan, Bobby Rush ignored about probably a third to 40% of the district that was the suburban rural area. Now a larger portion of the district is that way. The way Bobby Rush ran it was he only had to worry about the city vote because that's what kept him in office. He didn't care about anybody south of the city border, and I think that's what you're going to get with Jonathan. I can't tell you for sure, but I'm going off his own statements about what he thought about Bobby Rush's tenure. So outside dark money, I've taken none. I won't take any. I've had three donors. Three people gave me money early on, and it was $250. That's the entire outside amount of money that has been given to me, and that was unrequested. The people sent it in before. I told everybody that it was clear that I'm not taking any outside money. I won the Republican nomination with $2,100, and I'm going to keep doing this the same way because the money is what is destroying politics in America. Politicians are bought and paid for. We're seeing that in Congress now with politicians that are bought and paid for by China and big tech companies, that they make decisions based on what's going to keep them in power and making more money to their handlers. Well, Jonathan Jackson spent about $493,000, so almost $500,000, and another $1 million came in from outside organizations. Cryptocurrency billionaire, who Jonathan again claims to be a progressive, but he took money from a billionaire to have ads, $1 million in ads the last week of the primary, and even his Democrat opponents were up in arms about this, talking about how it made absolutely no sense. So you have 1.5 million basically outside the district. You can go to fec.gov, that's the Federal Election Commission website, and you can look up the candidates, and their financial reports are right there, mine included, and it tells you exactly what money has come in and go out and what the expenses were for and who the donors were. About 90% of Jonathan's money comes from outside the district. Donors in California, New York, other places in New England, Ohio, New Jersey, in other places outside the 1st District in Illinois. So you have to ask yourself, why are these people trying to influence what's going on in the 1st District? That should be a question, a huge question in voters' minds here in the 1st District. So service. talk about service. Every politician says they're in public service. Most of them are there just to serve themselves. They're not doing any public service. Public service is when you go out and you actually do something, and either you don't take any pay, you take very little pay. There's no major benefit in it for you. I served in the military. Jonathan did not. I served in law enforcement. Jonathan did not. I actually founded a not-for-profit volunteer organization that we go down and do disaster response during major disasters, mostly hurricanes, tornadoes, things like that. It's mostly veterans and former or current first responders that are part of it, make up this team. And I also run a nonprofit that trains service dogs for veterans with post-traumatic stress. So that's service. And I did that. I don't get paid from the one nonprofit. The second nonprofit, I've been there. I'm in my 10th year. For the first 5 years, I received no pay for those. And like I said, my take home last year was just over $21,000. So Operation Push, this, you can look at it however you want. Jonathan is he's listed as a spokesperson for Operation Push, which means he goes around and makes speeches. I don't know how much he makes, but in 2001, the numbers that I could find, his father was paying himself $120,000 a year. That was in 2001. And also, they spent over $700,000 that year on travel, and over $610,000 of it was just for Jesse Jackson to travel around the country in 1 year. So that's got to be first-class flights or private planes and eating big dinners, lobster dinners, steak dinners, whatever. Because in order to spend $610,000 for travel for one person, when you donate to something like that, when you donate to my organization, it goes towards the program. When you donate here, it goes for people to get paid, give people jobs, patronage jobs, and it goes so they can live in a lap of luxury. That's how that's been forever. We here in Chicago know this. You ask anybody outside of Chicago what they think of what's been done, Operation Push. Is it actually effective? If you look on their website, it actually says it doesn't tout any of their accomplishments. What it says is be thankful for what we're trying to do. Well, you've been trying since, I believe this started in the early 1970s. So if you haven't accomplished your mission by now, or if people can't notice it, I think you may need to look at that again. So I don't know how much Jonathan gets paid for being a spokesperson. He doesn't actually do any physical labor or go out and help people personally. He just, it is what it is. Leadership. I don't know. All politicians, all people running for office seem to say, oh, I'm a leader and this and that. Well, I'm actually a leader. I held a leadership position in the 75th Ranger Regiment. You can ask the Rangers who knew me back then what they think of my leadership skills. This is probably one of the hardest places you can go and prove yourself. I'm a graduate. Not only was I in the 75th Ranger Regiment, I graduated Ranger School, primary leadership development course, things like that. So my leadership in the military is proven. Also with actually running businesses. I actually run nonprofits. I don't just show up and make speeches. So nonprofit experience, like I said, Jonathan was a spokesman. I founded one, and I currently run two. Business experience. Been a small business owner. I owned a small construction firm. We closed up. We got out. We built and sold our last houses right before the 2008. We kind of saw what was coming, so we sold our last properties. And we closed up in 2008 when everything was going south. Jonathan has had a beer distributorship with his brother, who I believe he was 28 at the time. Now, this was an Anheuser-Busch distributorship in Chicago, and I believe it was the largest one in Chicago at the time. But his beer distributorship with his brother Yusuf, they were in their late 20s. Where do you get millions of dollars if you're in your 20s? To buy a beer distributorship? Well, what people don't know is a few years prior that his father, Jesse Jackson, through Operation Push, had strong-armed Anheuser-Busch, threatening boycotts. And this is something that I asked the black voters in the 1st District to look at. Jesse Jackson has used the black population for his own gain. He has threatened boycotts against so many companies over the years, including Anheuser-Busch. What he says is, and Jesse asked, his complaint was that they weren't doing enough business in black neighborhoods. Um, we all know that alcohol can be a detriment, and I'm going to take you down. I'll do a video and I'll show you all the cans and bottles and stuff in the street. It actually does have an effect on people who have been told their entire lives that they can't get ahead, that there's this, the boogeyman is going to get you and you can't rise above because there's systemic racism and everything. So they give up hope and they turn to alcohol and drugs and other things. So you're feeding this. So he actually fed any alcohol problems that were on the South Side instead of supposedly helping people. But again, the acquisition of this beer distributorship was because Jesse had threatened boycotts from the black community. So he used you, black voters out there, he used you, the threat of telling you that you had to boycott Anheuser-Busch, to threaten Anheuser-Busch to get benefits for his own family. It wasn't for helping you, because then his sons took over and they were selling the beer in the black community. So figure that out. He supposedly owns Cricket mobile stores or something in the mobile phone business, and he owns a construction company supposedly. Now, I know Jonathan doesn't have any construction background. If you look at his history, coming straight, going to college, right out, going to Northwestern. Northwestern is a pretty prestigious school. I believe they only take about 8% of the people who apply. I wonder what his father's name had to do with him getting into that institution. I'm just saying, was he actually in the 8%? I don't know. I can't answer that. Cricket, the construction company, again, these companies, he never actually ran any of these. He was just there as a figurehead on the board. There was actually people doing the operations. He knows nothing about how to... Jonathan Jackson, I will go out on a limb here and say, has never swung a hammer in his life. I've got over 20 years in the construction trades. So, work experience. Like I said, he out of college, Wall Street, went to Wall Street, worked for a firm, a couple different firms actually. So this is supposedly the man of the people that's telling you he's a progressive. Well, he worked on Wall Street, made himself a bunch of money. College professor, he got a job at, I believe, Chicago State University is where he instructs. That's a lot of stuff to do. I mean, if you're a college professor currently teaching like he says he does, and you have these businesses and stuff, trust me, I do a lot of stuff. And it's very hard to run businesses and campaign at the same time. So he's not running these businesses. I still work. Running my stuff while I'm doing this campaign. So a college professor and Wall Street, and then of course the beer distributorships. I started working when I was 7 years old, and I have the pay stub to prove it. I have a picture of my father and I. I went to work for my father in the family business. We small men's clothing store, and my job was to scrub the toilets, take out the trash, vacuum the floors, clean the windows, clean up the tailor shop, things like that. 7 years old is when I got my first paycheck, when I started paying into taxes and Social Security. Back then, the minimum wage was $2.15, and that's what I was paid. Every day after school, I had to go there and clean up, and then on the weekends also. My father worked 7 days a week in that store. The store was open nonstop. I was in the military. I was a law enforcement officer, 20 years in construction, and about the last 9, going on 10 years, running a nonprofit. So now we're talking about the campaign here. Me, you get hard work. I'm all over the south side, south suburbs, all through the district, constantly doing it with my feet and my mouth. That's all I have. I don't have money for a big ad campaign. You're not going to get mailers from me. You're not going to see TV ads or hear radio ads. I'm asking people to please get the word out, word of mouth. I am making the contacts on foot, out talking to people every day. This is a big part of it. Now, his campaign, big money. We've already seen that. Almost $1.5 million spent, and most of that came from people outside of the district. Mercenaries. This is something that, as I've been campaigning, I watch people pay people to go out and get their signatures, to get their name on the ballot. They'll pay them X number of dollars per signature that they bring back. I look at these as mercenaries. I got all my own signatures. I was the one out knocking on doors in January and February and early March in the freezing temperatures. I guarantee you Jonathan Jackson wasn't out there knocking on any doors or getting his suit dirty. Ads. Again, you won't see any from me. You'll probably see a lot from Jonathan as we get closer and stuff. And we'll deal with that back then when we get there. But net worth I wanted to put. Again, from the FEC website, I believe it was just over $10.5 million, but I just put 10 down here, 10 plus million. That's his net worth. My net worth is about $25,000, and that includes my 18-year-old Suburban that doesn't have any air conditioning. So I just wanted to give you a little breakdown and see where the candidates are coming, and ask yourself, who is actually a candidate of the people, the working class. Don't let Democrats tell you that they are the party of the people. They are the party of literally Wall Street, big colleges, elite colleges, and taking money from outside, billionaires. And this was supposedly a guy who says he's progressive and got the endorsement of Bernie Sanders. So you have a Democrat socialist, and I'm going to say just flat out socialist, and then you have billionaires. So it appears to me that Jonathan would sell out to whichever way the wind's blowing, whatever way to get in there, because Democrats realize, just like Bobby Rush, they drew this district to keep a Democrat in there. Folks, this is your chance. This is the year that you can send, number one, a message to the one-party system that we have here in Illinois, but also you have a choice. For the first time in about 40 years, in Cook County, we have countywide candidates that have been slated at all levels. You need to look at your ballots, research these people. I'm not saying just blindly vote Republican. And I ask people to put the D's and R's aside and look at the people and see if our values don't line up better than with what you've been getting from one-party rule of the Democrat Party. This is your year. You could send a message for 2 years, see what you get. That's all we're asking is give us a chance, let us show you what we can do, and then if you don't like it, 2 years, like I said, if I can't make a difference, I will walk away. So that's it for now. I'll be doing some more videos today. I've got a lot of work to do for the nonprofit, so I'll be in the office most of today. I have an event later this evening, but yeah, that's it for right now. Again, do your research, folks. Do your research on your candidates. Thank you.